You're listening to the Erica M. McAfee podcast, a faith-based podcast for Black women and women of color to share stories of grief and loss due to miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, with journeys of trying to conceive and infertility. Welcome to episode 28 of the Erica M. McAfee podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial by visiting www.audibletrial.com/Erica. In today's episode, we have Cassidy Deer, who shares her stillbirth story of daughter Courtney and the Born into Heaven Foundation. Cassidy has become an extreme advocate for stillbirth awareness ever since her own personal loss of her daughter Courtney in 2014. Cassidy strives to dedicate her time by uplifting parents in the community who have also been affected by stillbirth. In 2015, she founded Born into Heaven Foundation as a financial resource for families in the state of Alabama. She oversees a volunteer board that is dedicated to relieving the financial burden of funeral costs for stillborn babies. Cassidy was awarded her bachelors in social work for Auburn University in December 2017. She lives in Alabama with her family and enjoys dancing and journaling. Born into Heaven Foundation is hosting their Spring Gala on April 14, 2018 in Alabama to gather, among others, mingle, dine, and support stillbirth awareness. Here is Cassidy Deer. Thank you, Cassidy, for agreeing to be a part of the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to have a platform to share my story today.
Well, as we start, I like to start the podcast with everyone just sharing a little bit about yourself. So if you can just tell the listeners a little about yourself and what you do.
Okay, my name is Cassidy Deer. I live in the state of Alabama. I'm currently seeking my bachelor's degree in social work. I was really inspired to kind of go back to school and really pursue a career where I'm able to help people, deal with people, understand people, and love on people. And so that's currently what I'm doing right now.
So let's talk about your loss story.
Okay, I lost my daughter Courtney in August of 2014. She is my first and only child, so my only experience with motherhood is loss. I remember being excited about Courtney, being nervous about Courtney, being worried throughout my whole pregnancy. It was just emotional. She was not planned, but I mean, she was my child, and I was just super excited, super prepared for her. I remember carrying her. Everyone would just say, "Oh my goodness, you're nothing but belly, you're nothing but stomach, and oh my goodness, you look so great, and you're so happy." I remember the doctors just saying, "Baby is so healthy, she's so perfect." I just literally probably got praised the whole 9 months. I didn't stop anything. I didn't get really sick. Excuse me. I just really prepared 9 months with excitement of meeting my daughter. I actually went over my due date. It was planned that I remember she was due on August 10th, and that fell on a Sunday that year. And he said, if she doesn't come naturally by Sunday, then we'll come in Monday, get you induced, and she should be here Tuesday. And in the moment, being young, not really knowing, count the kicks and everything, looking back on it, I know that I probably lost Courtney that Saturday night. She was moving around. She was kicking. She was just like tap dancing. And I'm like, whoa, for it to be completely full term, baby, you don't got that much room to be doing all this. Mm-hmm. And so I look back, and I think maybe that was the moment where my daughter was fighting. She was probably saying, like, "Ma, hold on, something going wrong. I can't. I need, Ma, I need you, like, right." So she was kind of frantic in there. And that was Saturday night, but I didn't think anything of it. I was just, wow, she's really moving today. Just not knowing, never being pregnant, never really hearing the things like count your kicks and all the things that they tell you to maintain a healthy pregnancy. Mm-hmm. But I remember Sunday, I had a headache, and I just had a horrible headache. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to the hospital because I got to go tomorrow. If I could just make it through tonight, I'll be at the doctor's tomorrow. She'll be here. Like, this headache is all about me right now. Like, I'm just trying to go to bed early, wake up early, and get to the hospital then. I didn't want to call or bother anyone. Mm-hmm. And so Monday came, and I'm like in the mirror doing some makeup, got my bags packed, I'm doing a little dance, I'm excited, got the baby's room set up. I mean, I probably thought I was a celebrity on my way to the hospital, just so excited. Like, I'm going to be carrying my baby next time everybody sees me. I'm going to be holding her, and just really excited. And just with the experience of having so many ultrasounds, as soon as she put that machine on my stomach, I knew something was wrong. Mm-hmm. The first thing you look for is the little motion of a heart beating. Mm-hmm. And that was not there. It was just a little circle, like the little hollow space that you can see through the ultrasound, and Courtney had no heartbeat. Mm. And my the ultrasound nurse, bless her heart, she was doing all she could to play it off. She was like, give me 1 second. We're out of paper right now. I can't print anything. Mm-hmm. So she leaves the room. She comes back. I just can't find that paper. And in my head, it's like, ma'am, you've been doing this for how long? You know where to refill the paper at. Mm-hmm. Then she slips my file out the room. And so I started crying. And my boyfriend was like, calm down. Like, please, like, you're thinking too much. And I was trying to calm down, but it's just like, She came back in the room with my nurse and my doctor, and they broke the news. And just everything after that moment changed my life. Mm-hmm. I remember my doctor kind of caressing my shoulder strongly, and he was just like, I'm so sorry. I think she's gone, or, there's no heartbeat. It was very tough. It was very tough. I kind of, don't have my facts straight between that moment and actual labor and delivery. But I know when I held her, when I pushed her out and they gave her to me, it was peace. It was heartache, it was pain, but still just to hold your child, mm-hmm. to still just look at them, to still, like, even if her eyes aren't open, I know her personality. I know the things she likes. I felt like I did. Your child as a mother. That was the joy in the midst of all of my sorrow.
What happened after you pushed her out? You were able to hold her. Were you able to spend additional time with her in the hospital?
You know what? I got my full hour or so in, and I closed the door right there. It's funny because my nurse actually had to talk me into it, still carrying her, and still going through the process of getting induced. Excuse me. They asked, are you going to want to hold her? Are you going to want to see her? And, I was like, I don't think so. No, ma'am. You could just rush her right out of the room. And so the nurse kind of shook her head like, And then she got a little closer. She was like, sweetie, you're going to want to hold your baby. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to see her. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, you don't know how to answer questions in a moment, in a time like that. So, mm-hmm. But what I did do is that I held her, like I said, for like an hour or so. I'm not sure. And I said my goodbyes to that. Took plenty of pictures, talked to her, sang to her, just enjoyed that moment. But I'm so thankful for the hospital staff that I did have, because when my dad came a little later, they gave him a private room to sit and hold her and talk to her. They were willing to get her and let anyone meet her, any of my family that wanted to. But I personally told myself I would give her just that little morning that we had together, and that would be my final goodbye to her. So, but I had an amazing staff experience. The nurses, my doctor, everyone was so caring. I have no complaints from the hospital staff. I really, really thank God for them. They helped me through it tremendously.
Awesome. So were you able to go on to have a memorial service and funeral for her?
I did. She was here on a Tuesday. She was buried on a Friday. I thank God for my mother in that situation, because I couldn't think. My mother ran out, got a dress, got the funeral home, got the service put together. It was small. It was intimate. It was just family. We buried her in a family cemetery. Like I stated before, I'm in the state of Alabama, and we're a very small town. So she's actually buried next to my granddad, my uncle. It's all family. She has a cute little grave, and we kind of did the traditional way of funeral and memorializing the body that way.
Awesome. So after the funeral, after people went away, what did you do to deal with your grief during that time?
I didn't do the right things. I'll put it like that. In general, I'm the type of person that does not show a lot of emotion. And I got to figure out what happened in my childhood that makes me do that. It could be excitement. It could be joy. It could be pain. It could be sorrow. But I'm going to just try to act like everything's all good. And for a year, I did that. Mm-hmm. I went out and I didn't want to talk about her. I don't want anyone to ask questions about what happened. I just want nobody to talk to me. I don't want to talk about it. But when I go back home, every night I laid there and I cried myself to sleep. I mean, literally screaming tears to sleep. And that was grief. And I don't think that was handling it correctly. Mm-hmm. I thank God that I am such strong in my faith. And I would constantly just pray, God, give me peace. I just want peace. That was just what I prayed for. I couldn't get any more words out. I couldn't think another thought long enough outside of losing Courtney. So I remember just praying for peace. I just want peace, God. Just give me peace in the situation. And so I really think that my faith helped me through. If I could say I did something positive, that was it. I never experienced, counseling or, excuse me, I'm so sorry. No problem. I never experienced counseling or, I guess, therapy groups or anything like that. It's always something that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very helpful. Just now that I've kind of grown past that was 3 years ago, and I've met other mothers and I've had conversations with them, it is very extremely therapeutic and healing. And so it's something that I recommend to others, but I never really did it myself. I have a strong, close family, and I could always call on my sisters or my mom, and they would just kind of listen to me and speak that out. So for a year, I would say it took me a minute just to hold my head back up and try to figure out life again. But that first year, oh God, I can't imagine ever experiencing that again.
I understand. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get your free download and 30-day free trial by visiting www.audibletrial.com/Erica. I am currently listening to Michael Wolff's Fire and Fury, and it is so good, y'all. I don't even want to give it away. It's sold out in the bookstores for a reason. And I just finished listening to Priscilla Schreier's Discerning the Voice of God. So if you want to get a free book, go to www.audibletrial.com/Erica. So what led you from there to start your foundation?
So I have a foundation. It's called Born into Heaven Foundation. What we do, we're kind of dedicated to relieving the financial burden of funeral costs. So for families who do have specifically just a stillborn child, they can apply for funding through us. And 10 times out of 10, I don't think we've ever turned anybody away. We help them pay for the funeral for their child. And what led me to start that is, like I said, I'm a social worker. I have a passion for helping people. So for the vulnerable, for the oppressed, for the depressed, for the outcast, for the ones people don't like working with, I'm like, ooh, pick me. I'll help them, So I knew, even still laying in the hospital bed right after labor and delivery, I knew I wanted to do something. I was like, if it's nothing but stand outside the hospital door, come in and give that mother a hug, I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to do something in that situation. And so I kind of thought about it with family. I was like, maybe we'll pass out baskets. Maybe we'll give teddy bears. Maybe we'll send a card. And it was actually my mother who came up with the idea. She was like, there's no resources for helping them bury their children. And, you go from loss to 2-3 days later trying to find hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't give any of the credit to myself. She's actually the one who realized the need in the community for that resource. And she came up with the idea. I came up with the name. And then it's just been a family effort getting it started. But yeah, like I said, I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to do something. I am a strong believer that you go through things for a reason. And I didn't want to be a victim to stillbirth. I didn't want to go my whole life crying about the child that I lost. I want to be like, yeah, it happened to me, but let me tell you something. Like, it doesn't have to define you.
Right.
And because I had such a rough first year, I literally, shamefully, honestly, probably was lying for people who didn't see me every day. Mm-hmm. And then they say, oh, how's the baby? She's good. And then I walk away really fast. Because I don't want you to know too much. I don't want you to judge me. That's a lie. So I say all that to say this. You breaking the silence is very important. Mm-hmm. And once I built up the courage to tell my story, it only got easier for me. It only made me feel better after that. So what I was trying to protect silently was just eating me up inside. And so you have to realize that the things that you give voice to, you now have the power. You have power over them. But if you never break the silence, if you never confess things, then you'll never conquer them. Right. And that's what I had to teach myself. So when I finally got to the point where it's like I want to share my story and I want to help others, the foundation has just been rolling ever since.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So where can we find out more information on Born Into Heaven Foundation?
You can always look us up online at bornintoheaven.org. We specifically serve families just in the state of Alabama right now. But there's so much information, just my story, the board members that we have, how they help out, if you're willing to donate to the foundation, just some of the events that we partake in the community. You can find all of that on our website at bornintoheaven.org.
What resources that are out there that you use to help you through your grief journey?
You know what? I don't think I use any resources. I don't think I use any services. And I think that's what's so sad, because there's not that many. Immediately after loss, I don't think there's that many. Like I said, going through my grief process and years after Courtney, I learned of, community support groups based around bereaved parents, and I learned of little things like that. It wasn't until I got deep into my foundation itself and I was networking and I'm meeting other people who take photos of the babies for free or make handprints, memorial handprints and fingerprints, and maybe some other services that may help with burial costs, but there's nothing up front. I think in my state, I'm not sure across other states, maybe it was specific to my hospital and my staff, but there is a lack of upfront available known resources and services to help families out that are going through this. And that's definitely a long-term goal that I have. Is wanting to be maybe more than just a financial help right now, but we could be financial, educational, we could be therapeutic, we could be that main headquarters for someone going through such a traumatizing loss as a loss of a child. So I can't look back and say there are any resources or services that I utilized throughout losing Courtney and throughout my grief, because honestly, there were none. It was just family and faith for me.
And that's sometimes that's all that was needed.
Yeah.
was going to church, praying, trying to draw closer to God, and then just having that family support of your friends, your sisters, your mom, everyone that's around you. So I completely understand. So,
and I recently heard someone say, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I recently heard someone say that death teaches us how to live. And I mean, it's night and day for me with Courtney. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. I'm so sorry. It's night and day. It's night and day for me with Courtney. Just my life before her and my life after her. And she did teach me how to live. She taught me what was important. She taught me how to deal with emotions. Just let's not get angry too fast, or let's think it through. She taught me truly that you never know what a person is dealing with. Mm-hmm. You never know what a person has gone through. She taught me how to love. She taught me maturity. And so in her death, I feel like I was reborn. I feel like I was birthed. I feel like I became a new woman. And I appreciate my daughter for giving me that. I thank her for that, because she really forced me to grow up and to realize that this life is short. Mm-hmm. It's not promised. Mm-hmm. Let's make the best of it. Let's build community. Let's help others. And that's really, because sometimes running a nonprofit and still doing all of the other million things you have going on in your life, it gets hard. It gets tough. And I'm like, okay, God, look, maybe I'm not going to do Born into Heaven anymore. But the nerve of me, he walked me through this so that I could look back and help others through this. And so I just learned how to live in the midst of that. And that really helped me as well.
Awesome. So I thank you for your 31-day challenge for October for Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. I posted it to my new page I had created, which is My Baby Existed. And it had me actually go back and pull up memories and just think of just the journey, that we all go through when we lose a child. So it was good to be able to put that in picture form and share that with everyone on a daily basis. So thank you for creating that challenge, and I hope to see more challenges like that to come out, not just during October, but throughout the year as well. So.
Oh, that's a good plan. Not just in October, but throughout the year as well. No, thank you for participating in that with me. It was indeed a challenge. I'm not sure what sparked a fire in me to want to create it, but I've never personally shared that much. And it was, some days were a challenge. I was like, okay, what I'm gonna post? What am I about to say? Mm-hmm. But it was therapeutic, because you get that feedback and that response, and you see others who are posting and sharing their story, and it just it lets us know that you're not the only one who's gone through it. Mm-hmm. And that you have a unique story to tell, and it's powerful to get that out there. So thank you for participating, and I hope that I get a challenge out again as well.
Last question for our listeners: what encouraging words do you have for the other lost moms that are out there?
I think it's been stated earlier, but bottom line, my encouraging words, I would just say to speak your story, to tell your story. That's the hardest thing I've done. It's the most powerful thing I've done. And I think it's the most encouraging thing that I could tell others to do. Speak your child's name, tell their story. They existed, they mattered. Let their legacy live on, even if they're not here to tell it. And for those who do believe in heaven, understand that heaven is a miracle. Understand that your baby is not, I don't want to say suffering or on earth going through things, but heaven is a joyful place to be. And so know that they're well taken care of. Don't worry, don't stress. Just know that you're definitely going to meet them again. You're definitely going to see them again. And that's going to be an amazing moment as well. But I would say, while you're here on earth, Don't let loss eat you up. Don't let loss kill you while you're still alive. Speak out loud. Be bold about it. Be proud about it. I'm Courtney's mom. If you never met Courtney, that's, I'm sorry to hear that. But that's my baby. I'm her mother. And I'm going to say that proudly. Because for a year, I sat numb. I sat silent. I sat afraid of what others may think, what they may say, how they may judge me. And it's like now that I'm able to share my baby, I feel good. So I say, tell your story.
Where can we find you personally on social and then your foundation on social?
I'm specific to just my foundation on social. Okay. Excuse me. I actually, I'm not good at social media. So right now I'm just specific to Instagram alone. I'm trying to get Facebook up and running. We do have Born into Heaven on Facebook. It's not as active as I would like it to be. I'm in the very beginning stages of getting that going. But me personally, I'm just not a social media type person, so I got to work on that. But Facebook, Born into Heaven Foundation, you should be able to search and find us that way, and many have, and I appreciate that. And then Instagram is _Born into Heaven. And you can come follow, like, join, and just connect with me. Email address you can find me by is going to be bornintoheaven@hotmail.com. And like I said, you can always visit the website as well, bornintoheaven.org, and you can message me or get connected to me or find out more information through the webpage.
Thank you so much, Cassidy, for sharing your story about your daughter, Courtney, and your Born into Heaven Foundation.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Erica M. McAfee podcast. I pray that this episode was inspirational and a blessing to you. For show notes of today's episode, visit ericamcafee.com/podcast episodes. We now have a Facebook group. Please join the Sisters in Loss community on Facebook by going to ericamcafee.com/community to join in the discussions. This community is for you, the listeners of the Erica and McAfee podcast, and it's for us to dive deeper in discussion of the episodes. We're going to chat with some of the episode guests and discuss questions around grief, loss, marriage, faith, and love. If this group is for you, please visit ericamcafee.com/community to join. I am also launching my Trying Again Grief Coaching Service. This is for those who are trying to conceive after a loss and are looking for that emotional and spiritual support going through that journey. I have 3 open slots available for coaching. So if this is of interest to you, please visit ericamcafee.com/coaching and sign up for a discovery call with me. I look forward to helping you all through your grief journey and your pregnancy after loss journey. Please do not forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Erica M. McAfee podcast, especially if you're listening in iTunes. Keep the faith, and I will talk to you next Wednesday.